Good evening, Red Sox fans, and welcome to a special edition of Red Sox Digest Live, the trade deadline dumpster fire edition. I'm your host, Jim Delfino, and tonight's show is sponsored by Pepto Bismol because Craig Breslow's deadline decisions have officially triggered acid reflux across New England. Joining me tonight, Nick Face, whose takes are so blistering, Fenway Park just filed for SPF 100. The last time he was this mad, the scoreboard caught fire. Next, we have Nick Diamond, the human eye roll, who delivers sarcasm so crisp it should come with its own rim shot. He's watching this front office like, wow, amazing, a masterclass in mediocrity. Let's get right into it. The Red Sox made two trades. That's it, two. Not for Joe Ryan, not for Joe Schmo, not even for a guy who's legally allowed to pitch in October. No, we got Steve Matz and Dustin May. Let's break that down. Steve Matz, 34 years of age, a 3.44 ERA this season with a whip of 1.182 and a fastball that's been downgraded to suggestion. He's been on the IL more times than he's been on the mound. This is the guy we're calling a deadline upgrade. He's not even a Band-Aid. He's the off-brand gauze you find at a gas station first aid kit. Then there's Dustin May, the ginger flamethrower who once had promise before his elbow turned into a science experiment. This year, 6-7 record, 4.85 ERA, 97 strikeouts in 104 innings. He's been healthy, sure, but so has my toaster, and it doesn't give up 4 runs every 5 innings. The Dodgers saw him up close, said nah, and shipped him out for 2 prospects and a thank you card. His last start against Boston, we tagged him for 4 runs, so naturally we traded for him because nothing says contender like acquiring the guy you just lit up. Meanwhile, the Yankees added David Bednar, Camilo Doval, and Ryan McMahon. The Mariners got Josh Naylor and Gino Suarez. The Rangers grabbed Merrill Kelly, and the Red Sox, we got 2 guys who might combine for 1 quality start before Labor Day, and basically it was made for Rafael Devers. How perfect is this? Craig Breslow said, and I quote, "We tried." That's not a strategy. That's what you say when you forget your anniversary and show up with a gas station roses. We tried doesn't get you playoff wins. It gets you angry callers, empty seats, and Tom and Quincy throwing his remote through drywall and telling the Red Sox management to F off. Tonight is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to ask each one of our panels their opening takes by asking a particular question. As always, let's get into it. Nick Face, you're first. Craig Breslow said, "We're trying to compete while building for the future." So when you trade a guy like Blaze Jordan, who has a career year in the minors for a rental, and basically swap Rafael Devers for Dustin May, both of who are rentals here, him and Motts, how do you sell the future that Breslow explains?
You can't. This whole thing was so predictable. I was the one chirping for the past 24 hours. I said, don't expect anything. Don't expect it. Because the worst thing that you could do as a fan is get excited thinking that you're going to get all these presents under the Christmas tree, and then you go Christmas morning, look at the tree, and you got no gifts under there. Well, that's basically what Breslow did. You got Steven Matz. He's okay. That's it. You gave up Blaze Jordan for him. Not super thrilled on that. And then you get Dustin May, the guy that I think the Dodgers didn't allow to board the plane back to LA from this past weekend. That's what you got. I couldn't be more angry, frustrated, pissed off with what we've grown to be accustomed to here. I don't know how many more times we realists here have to tell you fans who are so optimistic, oh, Joe Ryan's coming, oh, we're going to get an upgrade, Suarez is coming, you got a great option at first base with Ryan O'Hearn, or improving the bullpen with Griffin Jacks, or whatever it's going to be. You got nothing out of it. I'll be nice. I'll give Breslow a D- because he got 2 guys. That's it. He should get an F. I'm just being generous. D-. I want Breslow out of here, but he's not the biggest issue to me, guys. The biggest issue here, and I have preached this since day one, it is ownership. Ownership is too cheap, stubborn, petty, and nothing but a bunch of lying sack of crap. I am so done with John Henry, Werner, Sam Kennedy, Breslow. The only way change happens is when John Henry officially sells the team and we move on. Otherwise, you will repeat this Groundhog Day mentality till the day we all die right now. Because 2018, that was 7 years ago. And we're still telling people out there, teams and all, oh, you want to come to the Boston Red Sox? We got so many championships. We are primed and ready to go for stuff. The Boston Red Sox are one of the laughing stocks of baseball right now. It is sinful on how piss poor this organization has been run since 2019. I'm sure the both of you would agree on this statement here too. It would so be nice to have Dave Dombrowski on days like this today, because you at least knew you were going to get something meaningful in days like this. Now you're stuck with the likes of Chaim Bloom and Craig Breslow, and I said this off camera to Jim before this started. I would rather have Ben Cherington as my general manager right now, because at least I knew Cherington from 2013. We got a championship out of this. You got nothing from Bloom. You have nothing from Breslow. Shame on all of you fans that continue to support the team and go to Fenway Park, buy the bricks, buy the tickets, go and get your $20 million hot dog and beer. You're part of the problem too. You're part of the problem. We have to start being tougher here and have to start going for the throats, because that's the only way this is going to change. I am so done with this crap that this team continues to spew out of their mouths, keep us believing that they're going to do something to change. Nothing happens. Nothing. So I'm just left with more disgrace than ever. I'm at the lowest of the low point now for this ownership group, and I've been at their throats for a while. You can't get any lower than me. I'm ready to send Chuck Norris in after them. I'm done.
Nick Diamond, same question to you. Your opening takeaways from this trade deadline and your thoughts.
Not only did they not do enough, they went into both trades and they overpaid. Blaze Jordan for Steven Matz is an overpay. Blaze Jordan's having a career year, promoted from AA all the way to AAA. Has like an 872 OPS, double-digit home runs, a power bat at a position that we don't have a lot of depth in at first base. Tristan Casas has gone down, out for the year. We don't know what we're going to get from him. Vaughn Grissom probably doesn't play first base. They're going to move Christian Campbell there. But besides that, they don't have much depth at a first base position. Steven Matz probably replaces a guy like Murphy, Bernardino, or Akala, one of those three. So is he that much better than that? Is that much of an upgrade? No. Is it nice to have an extra reliever? Yes. But I think it's an overpay. And then giving up Tibbs for Dustin May, who flat out stinks. He flat out stinks. This isn't 2018, 2019 anymore when he was a prized, coveted piece. He is a rental now. He's no longer a good pitcher. If you bring up his baseball savant, it's all blue. He should have stayed in Dodger blue, not come to the Red Sox. He's not good anymore. This is probably a pitcher who's worse than Richard Fitz. He's probably better than Walker Buehler because anybody's better than Walker Buehler, but this is not an upgrade. Breslow had three jobs when he set out there. He tried to get a front end of the rotation starter with control. He did not do that. He also got probably like a 6 or 7 starter. That's what his answer was. He needed a bullpen piece. He got one. I'm not really going to give him credit for Steven Matz because he's not that good. And he needed a first baseman who can hit in the middle of the order. And he didn't get anybody to bolster the lineup. A lineup that hasn't been that great lately over the long haul. It has been in the last, 2 or 3 days, but over the long haul, it hasn't been that great since the Devers trade.
My opening takeaway is this. I've been watching Red Sox baseball for a long, long time, over 40 years. And I've always enjoyed the trade deadline because it was like Christmas in July for me. Who were we going to get? Who's out there that we can trade for? And a lot of my life, the internet didn't exist like it does now. So you had to listen to radio shows and watch TV and so forth. And I always enjoyed it. And since 2018, I don't enjoy it anymore. It's just another day, and it means nothing because I have completely lost faith in this ownership group and management to go out and do something impactful that is going to change or improve the quality of the team by adding an impact player. And they just don't do that anymore. They haven't done that since Dombrowski's been here. You've had 2 general managers since Dombrowski's been gone that haven't amounted to nothing. In fact, I'm starting to think at this point that Breslow's worse than Chaim Bloom because I understand he brought in Crochet. That's fine. But he missed the boat on a lot of other moves. Vaughn Grissom is one of them. And I really thought this deadline was going to be different. I started drinking the Kool-Aid again and said, you know what? They went into this offseason. They got Bregman. They got Crochet. Maybe things are going to be different. Breslow said at the beginning of the season, we owe it to our fans. And when I saw Steve Matz, I said, well, I don't mind a bullpen piece. If it's one of 3 moves that are coming along, I'll be okay with it. And then when I saw Dustin May, I shook my head. And I see people on Twitter, some of them saying, this was a good move. What is a good move? What is it? I'd like to know someone who is 18 and 16 for his career with 52 career starts in 6 seasons, and he's a rental and free agent at the end of the season, and you gave up a draft pick, well, a minor leaguer, a highly touted minor leaguer in Tibbs, that you just got for Rafael Devers. What tells you that this is a good trade? I don't get it. Where does he sit into this? Is he going to be your number 2 starter now? Is he going to be the number 5 starter? This doesn't move the needle. This doesn't help your team. We'll be lucky enough for him to give us a quality start. He's been tattooed by the Red Sox. He gave up 7 runs in an outing to, I think, the San Francisco Giants 3 starts ago. He's not good. He had one job, was to get either Alcantara, Joe Ryan, or somebody that could fit into a number 2 spot, and he failed to do that. Just like he failed last season by bringing in 2 clown shows in Luis Garcia and the other nitwit, Lucas Sims. This has been going on year after year, and anybody that thinks that this is going to change anytime soon, you got to get your head examined. I am so done with Craig Breslow and so done with this ownership and management group. It's a bunch of nonsense every single time. Okay, I can't imagine what guys like Bregman are saying right now. Duran, Narvaez, Crochet. I just signed a $170 million deal to be here and win. All these guys got to look at this and say, that's all you freaking did? When the San Diego Padres just went out and got 65 guys? They've got more friggin' number 1 and number 2 draft picks than I have underwear. It's unbelievable that every season they can go out and do this. The Yankees went out and got 3 or 4 guys. The Blue Jays got Bieber, for crying out loud. I mean, half of Twitter was joking and mocking that. I think I'd rather have Bieber than friggin' Dustin May. Yep. This is absolutely atrocious for a trade deadline. I can't believe that I got to watch this crap for the rest of the season and watch these two guys walk because they're not coming back. They're not signing these guys for a long term next year. So you're going to have those two guys walk. You're going to have Giolito walk, Bueller walk, and you're going to be needing 4 starters again. This is just ridiculous. I'm so pissed off at this friggin' team that I spend so many hours and so much money watching and investing my time in, and this is the crap that Breslow, we were uncomfortably aggressive. Everybody is telling us, stop, back off. It's way too much. Stop giving us so much. Shut up, you piece of dung, okay? Nick Face, were you happy about his...
I don't mean to laugh. I'm not I'm laughing at you from the whole thing.
I know.
I'm laughing because I'm sick-minded because it's so true. That's kind of the sickness that I have. I laugh when I see a mistake or I see sometimes that they just can't get out of their own damn way. And I fell for it a little bit at like 5:50 tonight. I had Felger and Maz on, and I kept hearing from Jimmy Stewart in the back. They had him on the computer, the nerd himself. I have 5 sources that are telling me that this Joe Ryan deal is right at the finish line. I've heard 5 people tell me it's coming. It's coming. So I'm like, all right, it's almost dinner time. What the hell am I going to do? All right, I'll throw the radio on, see what's there. And then lo and behold, Cotillo and the rest of the world come out. Sox are done, no deals, that's it. And I said to myself, I'm done with this. I'm so done. I can't even fathom how many times they have made us believe, and then they come back and they fall right on their face. Even with this past winter with the Juan Soto stuff. I mean, that was very similar too. When you started hearing rumors, they're going to pony up the Express for him. They are in hot pursuit. Don't you worry. He's getting a meeting, everything. It's just what they do. They tease you. They suck you in, and then they give you the effing finger right after they're done and say, ha, ha, ha. Just kidding.
Nick Diamond, Breslow was quoted as saying, we pursued a lot of impact opportunities. What kind of bullshit is that?
It's a
classic, grade A.
Very broad quote to tell people to sound like he's smart when he really did nothing. He asked about Joe Ryan. The Twins named the prospects, and Craig Breslow was too scared to pull the trigger, which he shouldn't have. Joe Ryan is an impact arm, an arm that could have put you in contention to win the World Series or get to the World Series at least, because the AL is so bad. The AL is wide open. The Red Sox got Steven Matz and Dustin May, and you could argue that even worse. Dustin May is not that good. He's the 6th best starter on this team. I'd rather have Richard Fitz. So Dustin May was a waste of a very good prospect that they could have traded and put in a package for another actual impact arm. They could have put him in a Merrill Kelly package, put in Dustin, and instead they traded for Dustin May. The Joe Ryan stuff that you talked about at like 10, 15 minutes before the deadline was over, John Morosi tweeted out that the Red Sox were making progress. I think the Red Sox wanted him really badly. Craig Breslow misjudged the market. The Twins, it sounded like the Twins were probably going to do it because they traded everybody else. They traded Carlos Correa. They blow up the entire team. Harrison Bader is gone. Griffin Jacks got in at the deadline. So it looked like the Red Sox might have had a shot, but realistically, like Cotillo said, they were nowhere near. They were hesitant to offer anyone good. And it's really, really disappointing because the Yankees got better. The Mariners got better. The Rangers even got better. Everyone around you got better, and the Red Sox probably got worse.
Every team that you were in competition with, the New York Yankees, the Seattle Mariners, the Texas Rangers now, all these teams that are vying for a wild card position, to Nick Diamond's point, got better and made moves that will make some sort of positive impact on their team. And you didn't do that, Red Sox Nation. You didn't do that, okay? I don't want to hear anybody say that was a good trade. And to Nick Diamond's point, you mean to tell me you couldn't have packaged Blaze Jordan and Tibbs in one deal to get Joe Ryan and add a couple others pieces to that. I don't care if it was a 4-person deal. You go out and get somebody with term that you can shine or put right in after Crochet, and they didn't do that. And it is so disappointing. I'm beside myself with what I can even say at this point.
That's something.
One of our, yeah, go ahead.
One of my biggest takeaways from kind of digesting what went down here today, and I don't want to be doom and gloom. I don't want to do that, but I got to be real here with people. I am very nervous at the current moment on what happens with Bregman. I really am, especially now after you didn't do anything for this. Bregman, this could be another Adrian Beltre, guys, and I'm not ready to stomach that. I'm not, and I think if that does happen, and I was gonna say if Beltre says goodbye, if Bregman says goodbye, we're doomed. We're doomed, because I'm sure the players, just like you were talking about right now, are saying, "That's it. That's all this idiot did. That's all this stiff did. Brez the Stiff. That's his name. That's what he does. He does nothing. He's a talking piece for Sam Kennedy and Henry. That's it. That's all he is." So I'm sure player morale right now is definitely down in the dumps, and that's not a good thing with the mental state of this team. So I am pessimistic on what happens with this upcoming Houston series.
Yeah, Oxnard chimes in. He says, all we have to do as a fan base is boycott one super important game, not a season, just one game. Don't show up and nobody tune on the TV. I mentioned this a couple years ago when they were, got Yoshida, before they got Yoshida. I says that's exactly what they should do, because Henry doesn't care about us as fans, because it doesn't matter if we show up. He's going to make his money from other people. The Fenway Park is still getting all of your Mets fans, your Dodgers fans, your St. Louis Cardinal fans. They're all coming to Fenway Park because it's like a mecca. So it doesn't matter to Henry. The ticket sales are still happening. And it doesn't, he doesn't care about you, me, and Nick. He doesn't care about what we're doing anymore. So it's just absolutely atrocious. Nick Diamond, what are your thoughts on what Nick said about Bregman? It worries me too.
I completely agree. I think there's a possibility he opts out at the end of this year and he becomes the next Adrian Beltre, especially if he keeps playing and the Red Sox fall back towards 500. If they make the playoffs and go on a little run, there's a better chance of him staying. But also I think that's a chance for his value to go up and even more of a payday for him. But I think he likes it here, but I do agree with you guys that he's probably looking at this and said, I was promised more at the deadline after the Devers trade. I was taken over, he was promised the leader of this ball club, and he can come in here and coach up this new generation of Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer. And I think he's kind of felt left down after probably told when he was acquired in February, so late after the winter meetings, after everything was in right before spring training when they acquired him, he was probably promised this is the team that's going to go to the playoffs finally again. And as of right now, I don't think they are a playoff team. A couple of days ago, I probably thought they're going to make a big deadline deal, and I would put them in the playoffs again. But right now, I don't think they're a playoff team, and they're probably the worst team of the Mariners, the Rangers, the Yankees. And the Rays even got better. They added Griffin Jacks. I know they traded Taj Bradley, so they kind of added and subtracted. But at least they showed some signs of life that they wanted to improve in some aspects. The Rays, when they get a guy like Griffin Jacks with elite stuff, they're going to make him nasty. So I'm just overall disappointed. I'm very worried about Alex Bregman opting out. I'm not really sure he's going to opt out and then take a new deal with the Red Sox. I think he would, if he was going to stay with the Red Sox, he would just stay with the $40 million a year for 3 years, and then if he wants to get a new deal after that, he would. So if he opts out at all, I think he's on to better things.
There's one more part on that. There's one more part on that too. It's not just about the whole opt out and everything. It's the money, and until proven otherwise, the Red Sox aren't going to spend. They're just not. I look at Alex Bregman's deal as a bargain, and then Crochet, I even look at that as a steal right now too, because when you put him up in the free agent market, if those numbers are there, the Red Sox are going to go hide under their blanket. You kidding me? They're going to look at other. Oh, we tried. We just tried, and they'll lowball and they'll do everything in their power to make sure that they get the cheapest deal here. If the Red Sox legitimately want star power back here at Fenway Park and with this organization, pony, because you've ruined everything good that you've built. Now to get another team or another player to come to this team, you aren't going to get any deals. You're not going to get the Monty Hall let's make a deal special here. You're not going to get it. You premier dollars.
No, and the other thing about it too is that I look at it from a standpoint of if you're a free agent, and I know money talks and bullshit walks, but if you're a free agent and you're looking at the Boston Red Sox and saying, well, I have an opportunity to sign here in Boston, but wait a minute. They keep going through general managers like water. They sign guys for expensive contracts, turn around and trade them a couple years afterwards, and they do it over and over and over again. What's the reason that a player would want to come here? And as far as Bregman is concerned, look, I love the fact that he's here. I love what he's doing with some of the young guys. He's basically a coach and a player at this point, and he's producing. I have no faith that the Red Sox are going to pony up that kind of money. I understand he's under contract for 2 more years and $80 million, and chances are he's not going to get $40 million per season on the open market. But let me tell you this. If someone comes this time with a 6-year deal and it's close, 32, 35, he's gone because he'll go for the years as much as anything else. And to your point on Crochet, I said when they didn't sign him after the trade and it took so long that if he goes through this season unsigned, because I knew he was going to have a good year, and he is, I said, you're looking at probably the first $400 million pitcher. You really are. 10 years, $40 million a year. So they are so freaking lucky that Crochet signed. I can't even believe he signed for that money.
I can't either. Truthfully, I can't. I can't believe it. I was stunned. Still am.
Totally stunned, and they are a lucky organization from that standpoint. Totally lucky. But how can you be Garrett Crochet right now and say, what does this offseason look like? What does the rest of the season look like? Nick Diamond even brought up, how everybody else improved. They went into this trade deadline in a wild card spot. They weren't down a game. They weren't down a game and a half or two. They were in an active wild card position. And
they were in the second spot.
Yeah, yep. They weren't even the third spot. And this is what you did. You basically said to Red Sox Nation, that's what you said. Anybody else with some more comments? Steve Hunt has a quote here. He said, Bregman will bail and Henry won't pony up to extend Anthony. That's another great point. Okay? Yep. If I'm the Red Sox, I do whatever I can to sign Anthony this offseason. They don't have to do it now during the season, but during the offseason they do. And he's been quoted as saying he is not given a hometown discount. So they better figure that shit out really quick. If it's going to be a 15-year, $300 million deal or something like that, they better figure that out. Nick Diamond, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, if it has to be the Rafael Devers money, go ahead. You got to do whatever you can. He's a superstar. He's a generational talent. He has to be locked up long term. He's got a 400 on base percentage already. He's 21 years old. He's only getting better. He's hitting the ball hard. Yesterday, he had 3 balls hit above 100 miles per hour at like 101, 104, and then 113. He's starting to lift the ball a little bit more, and I think he's going to be a superstar in the years going forward. So whatever it takes, if it's 13, 14 years, $320 million, just like the Devers contract, I would do it.
Yeah, because you
could structure it like the Julio Rodriguez one, where there's like some clauses that hit if you hit a couple numbers or hit specific numbers. But I think Roman Anthony is probably not going to sign it no matter what. I think he believes in himself, believes in his own talent. But if he does sign it, I think that's what it would have to be, over $300 million.
Well, I mean, to your point, if you gave him $325 million over 15 years, it's 21 and change a year. He's already worth that. I mean, and they would get him on the cheap because while his power production home run wise is down, it's going to come. He's fine leading off right now, but I see him as a generational number 2 hitter or number 3 hitter. I think that's where he's going to be long term. But
it'd be structured differently. It'd be like 2 million, 6 million, 10 million, 20 million. Right. But I think there's a way to make it work. Kind of like how Rafaela's and Bayo's. Bayo's was more of like a 7 million every single year type of thing. So was Rafaela's, but Crochet's was only like 4 million this year, and then 12 or something the next. So there's ways to structure it where you can still go out and give Bregman an extension and pay Roman Anthony.
Yeah, they have to do that because this offseason, if they lose Bregman, I just, what are you going to do? Go out and have to try to find another third baseman now? Because you're not going to have Abraham Toro being your lead, your starting third baseman. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. A couple other things. Breslow was quoted also as saying this was not an unwillingness to include guys. I think this is a trash comment as well, because if it was, to Nick Diamond's point, why didn't you get the Joe Ryan deal done? Obviously, the Twins, Nick was saying that they were in full sell mode. The fact that they moved Carlos Correa was a really stunner. I think that's probably the biggest stunner maybe in this trade deadline. It was for me. I didn't see that coming. So obviously
there's another one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mike Yastrzemski from the Giants getting moved was a stunner to me too. I didn't see that one coming either. I know the Giants are more in a sell, but that was a stun.
You know what? Where did he go? Because I didn't see that.
Royals.
He went to the Royals. Okay.
Yeah,
he had a great catch the other night, so they're going to get some good defense out of him regardless. But if that's the case, you should have, when you have the opportunity to get a front end starter, you really need to do whatever you can to make that happen. And shame on Breslow and shame on Red Sox management and ownership for not getting this done. It really needed to be done, and I'm really upset about that. Any other closing thoughts before we wrap this up? Anything else that you guys want to talk about? Any other trades or anything like that?
Well, on the Joe Ryan front, just so our viewers kind of know what the package was potentially. So it was supposedly Tolley, Garcia, and 2 additional prospects. I don't know the names of the 2 additional, but if that's what it was going to take and why you couldn't finish this whole Joe Ryan thing, that is just totally embarrassing. I mean, for a proven guy that's been around, consistent, control, he has, 3 years remaining on his deal. The Twins were going to hand him to you on a silver platter. Here you go. This is what we want. I'm flabbergasted. I can't believe they backed away from their precious farm prospect system of those guys who have never had an ounce of major league experience. Let's make sure we reiterate that. You're holding out on Joe Ryan for guys that have, maybe they'll be fine, maybe they won't. You have prospects to go and get legitimate studs, and you just let a stud stay out there when he was getting served to you on a silver platter from the Twins that you could not bring that home to Boston. It is unacceptable. I'm sorry. It is criminal how this did not happen. Criminal.
It's totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable, because I would have made that trade. I don't understand why they've got to hold on to these guys. I had a meme out there earlier with Breslow holding on to his precious prospects. But one other thing that we should bring up, because it just Nick Face, you had some information on that too. I see that listed here on Twitter. Apparently, Craig Breslow did say regarding Marcelo Meyer, I think Marcelo is still trying to get as much information as possible. We'll have a second opinion and then determine kind of what the right course is here. So we're still collecting information on that front. look, I've said this before. I have a medical background. Get some X-rays, get some MRIs. What the F is going on? I don't understand that. It's the most
They know.
ridiculous thing. Of course they know. Okay, of course they know. He's going to have season-ending surgery, guys. That's what I see.
They were holding out on this just to make sure that if some sort of deal was to go down, that Marcelo Meyer's name was not blacklisted. That's why nothing was said. Now we're going to start to hear a little bit more trickle out on exactly what's going down. And to Jim, your point, they're going to shut him down 100%. And this is another proven fact here on Marcelo Meyer. He is not a durable player. He's not. He's never been healthy a season in his career, at least through the minors, and that scares me quite a bit. You know, I thought that coming up, we were going to be all right with getting him comfortable and hopefully getting him some reps here for his first taste of the big leagues. And now this whole wrist thing, and wrist, that's a scary injury if you're a baseball player. You know, I remember when Nomar got nailed in, was it 2001? And he really never was the same player after that. I mean, 2002 and 3, he was decent, but he was nowhere near putting up the numbers like he did in, 98 through 2000. So when you hear the wrist, especially depending upon where it's hit and everything, to me, when I hear that, that scares me.
Yeah. It's just he's going to get shut down. I don't think you're going to see him for the rest of this season because they're not going to want to risk it. And to your point, he seems to get hurt every year. Every ladder that he's climbed, they wound up bringing up Anthony and Campbell from AA to AAA, and they brought him along too. Again, we mentioned this many times, even while he was on the IL, just because they had to keep the Three Musketeers together. But, they were obviously hiding as much as they could because, again, we don't know all the details or who else they may have been trying to negotiate with for an infielder. And, of course, they didn't want to play their hand and say that, he was hurt and so forth. The last thing I want to bring up was this, obviously the ticker information from either Fox News or whatever it was that showed that the Red Sox actually traded for Joe Ryan. Nick Diamond, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, is this an egregious thing, or was this just some mistake? What's your thoughts?
I think it was an honest mistake. John Morosi tweeted that the Red Sox have engaged with the Twins and are talking about Joe Ryan, and then I think it was Fox News or Fox Sports tweeted out a graphic with Joe Ryan heading to the Red Sox, and then it was sourced John Morosi. And then they instantly deleted it. John Morosi tweeted out again and said that the Red Sox don't have a deal with Joe Ryan. So I think it was just kind of a misread by Fox. They jumped the gun on a graphic. It was really annoying as a Red Sox fan who was nervous all day, nervous about wanting to get a deal done. The Steven Matz was the only deal from last night. Been watching all day long, sitting here, refreshing Twitter, thinking about the deadline, thinking about which starter we're going to get. Is it going to be Merrill Kelly? Because there was reports that we were in on Merrill Kelly. And then the Rangers snuck in and got him. Sandy Alcantara sounded like around 5:30 that the Marlins were not going to trade him, so we knew that wasn't going to happen. And then it was just going to narrow itself down. And then the Joe Ryan news popped up, and they said we got him. It was just a big tease. And then next thing you know, Dustin May was a Red Sox, and it was from the highs of all highs down to this is the worst pitcher we possibly could have acquired to be in the starting rotation. So it went from Joe Ryan to Dustin May. It really took the life out of any sort of hope Red Sox fans had in this deadline because, honestly, I drank the Kool-Aid as well going into this one. I haven't been excited. 2021, getting Kyle Schwarber I thought was an okay move. 2022 was an awful, awful deadline. We could talk about that that could take a whole segment about that one. Tommy Pham days. 2023, you could have had Edward Cabrera and you would have had another reliable starter already. So we won't even talk about that. Chaim Bloom, bad there. Breslow, awful deadline last year, just kind of taking the worst of the worst and kind of just patchworking in a couple of relievers, backup catcher. So things didn't work out for the Red Sox at all. And then this year was probably the worst one. Breslow goes out and acquires two pitchers that are subpar, that don't move the needle at all, and it's just super disappointing. Yeah, I don't have much confidence going forward.
All I can tell you, Red Sox fans, is that Breslow and company better hope that guys like Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro and Connor Wong and Masataka Yoshida and these guys that we have here can weather this storm and stay of some sort of effective for the remainder of this season. And I have absolutely no faith that that's going to happen. And you've also better hope that Alex Bregman doesn't have any kind of setback in his recovery and that he's going to be able to play 6 days a week. Because if not, you're going to see the same thing happen that's happened the last couple of years. They're, above 500 going into a deadline, and then it just continues to fade away. And I think there's some level of concern. You look at guys like Crochet that's being pushed back now instead of, when we need him every 5 games. So they're monitoring his workload, uh, good, bad, or indifferent. It's screaming to me that this is a team that's on the brink of potentially just falling right off the deep end. And I hope it doesn't happen because I don't want another September where I'm watching meaningless Red Sox baseball games again. And I think that Craig Breslow just put the seal on that happening again for 2025. That's all I got for tonight. I'd like to thank Nick for joining me. Please visit us online at RedSoxDigest.com. Sign up for a free subscription. We'll be back with you tomorrow night to go over the first game against the Houston Astros, where Carlos Correa will be playing third base, as far as we know. So, and maybe we'll get a look at Steve Matz giving up a 2-run shot in the 8th inning. So, have a great night, everybody.